Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. Randy Swaim joining us here today. Beautiful day, hot day in Texas. Yeah, he's based out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Coaching for Relevance is the name of the company and the website. You can go visit him there. He is an executive coach and so much more. He joins us today as an author, as a pilot, as a coach, as a dad, as a grandpa. Wears many hats, this man. But we're excited that he's here today again to instill his his vision, his intelligence, his leadership skills to help so many of you, talking to you out there listening, individuals, groups, organizations, to really move yourself and your team forward.
Cool. And for today, I'm going to actually present one aspect from me that is very aligned with much of what I brought out and everything, but it brings in the real leadership, the real understanding, because if you're basically a manager of a team, so many managers in the societies have a tendency to think that their job is to just tell the people what to do and have them shut their brain off and stuff. And if you do that, you're not being a leader and you're not really developing skills and solutions. And I'm going to give one example of that just with something that I did this morning and everything. But it's a little bit unrelated to that, but it's a good picture of it. Because if you think about it, if you're talking about being a manager and a leader, it's not just about you dictating to people and pointing fingers and telling them what to do and having them shut their brain off because they may disagree with you on something or anything like that kind of thing. But it's really developing their ability to process. And as you know, I bring a lot of neuroscience, and a lot of the aspect of neuroscience is when your frontal lobe really processes and gets the truthful aspects of a situation and has clarity on what can get you there and all. And I'll just kind of show you on a quick example of that here in a minute. But all of that is just so key, and I was just going to bring that to it. And it's one picture. Like I say, this doesn't happen with your people if all you're doing is telling them what to do. And, they can't do anything unless they come ask you and you say yes or no. If that's all you're thinking about in your management role, you're a dysfunctional and unprofessional manager. And so the big part of it is in what, are you knowledgeable and aware of how you can develop your team members' processing ability, their true understanding, not just going to your rote academic things, unless there's something that's critical, but coming up with that sort of stuff. And it's something that a lot of people don't realize about. And I'll just show you that with this one example from me today that this sort of came up with. So if you want, I'll go ahead and get started with that.
Absolutely. We love hearing from you. Go for it, sweetie.
Cool. Well, here's what I did on my computer. I'll just share with people this very quick thing. My computer got really dysfunctional and there were some issues going on with it a few weeks ago. And I had a Geek Squad group, which is a professional, computer people and all, had them come over, and they found exactly the issue. And the issue was in one of the side keypads and everything. And they pulled that out, and they were going to take it and throw it away. And the computer seemed to be working after that. And the stuff that I was noticing that I called them over for was no longer there. So things were pretty good. But one of the things that I noticed a couple of days ago, one of the things that I did probably about 3 or 4 days ago is I've got one area for the screen saving thing where it has a lot of the JPEG pictures on it, and it's all of my great grandkids and their life journey and all this sort of stuff, and everything. And it's just a wonderful picture, series to watch, until it gets to the end of it and goes black and stuff. But the bottom line on it is what I noticed was, because when I was done with basically 4 pictures. I basically moved them over into a blank folder
Oh, wow.
in the same area. But what I didn't notice really on this was that for about the next 2 days, that screen saving thing never came up again.
Oh,
It just all went black, and there was a little note that said an error is preventing the thing from playing,
oh
kind
gosh.
of thing. And I went, oh, what? And I was going to actually drive to the uh, uh, the Geek Squad folks again today and see if there's somebody that could come by for probably 10 minutes and fix this and all. But what was interesting is, and this is the processing part that a lot of people don't think about. If all you're doing is looking for somebody else to come in and fix it, you may not be getting the job done.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know what? When I was in my car driving toward it, there was something in my brain, and it's the mental processing that happens in your brain. Something came out, and I said, oh, you know what? Shoot. I wonder if it's because I put those 4 pictures in that folder. Because
Wow.
one of the pictures was there, and it was coming up at the beginning of that before it came up with that little error thing and everything. And I said, you know what? I wonder if that is causing it to not know how to get to what I set up
Mm-hmm.
and all this. And while I'm driving my car, I said, you know what? I'm not going to the Geek Squad on this. I'm going to go home. If I need to, I'll go by there tomorrow or
Uh-huh.
Saturday, but I'm going to go back home. And what I did is I came back into my, uh, uh, bedroom and on my desk here and stuff. And I clicked, I opened up the computer again and all this sort of stuff. But this time, what I did is I said, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I went to the one folder that had the 3 pictures of that in it, and I clicked and I moved all 3 of them to a whole different place in the downloads and everything.
Okay.
And then I took the 4th one and I moved it up to the downloads so that it wasn't even in that section anymore. And I said, we'll see what happens now. And you know what? Sure enough, interestingly enough, the aspect on this is that after, oh, I don't know, however many seconds or whatever kind of thing that it did this, the screen went black, and guess what? Exactly the this the correct series of pictures for my grandkids and things like that, and everything came up just like it was back before then. And I said, you know what? That's what it was. I put because I put a couple of those pictures in there, it went there, but it didn't know where to go after that. And I said, so you know what? The fact that I moved the 4 of them back out again completely solved the problem.
Yeah.
And that was mental processing. I didn't need anybody to help or anything like that. And the only reason I bring that out is because that is a key aspect when you're talking about your team. If all you're doing is telling them what to do, and a lot of the dysfunctional managers out there are doing that. They're
Yeah.
just telling them, and their mindset is totally on themselves and who they are, and you got to listen to me, and you're not supposed to think about this, you just listen to me, and almost have that sort of a mindset. You are not helping them become what a real successful team will become. And a lot of people don't realize that there's a lot of times, and I know, Jill, you've heard me say this on some shows some time ago, I'm sure, but there are times when
Mm-hmm.
you have to be totally aware that your team needs to be able to get the right solution
Oh, yeah.
when you're not there because you're sick at home or because you're on a trip or something or on vacation or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, kind of thing. And so if the only mindset somebody has is on bringing all the attention to themselves, just telling them what to do, and you shut off all your thinking and you
Oh,
just go with
gosh.
what I tell you to do, kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. And you probably have seen this in some cases, maybe along your whole journey, kind of thing. But uh, one of one of the dysfunctional aspects that a lot of those dysfunctional managers will have is when they don't really have conversations with you that help you to develop your processing and your real mentoring. The bottom line is it doesn't mean they just come up with exactly the answer you want them to have. No, they go through the processing and they uncover the 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 the, the restrictions, the factors involved, what's needed, and yeah, in some cases, they need to realize that this is going to kind of put risk in, and we don't want that, and things like that and everything. But to be able to have that mental processing ability, which is a key aspect of neuroscience, and when you're talking about aspects in your organization, particularly if you're not just going and selling something here and there, and that's it, whatever, but you're trying to achieve some dramatic things and everything. Um, you have to be aware of that sort of stuff, and you got to be aware of that in your team. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're shutting their thinking off and you're shutting their brains off because you're trying to just get them to totally focus on what you
Yeah.
have as the superficial answer, you're not really getting the job done. And because guess what? Sometimes the factors that come on scene are not exactly what you would have expected.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
what you have to do is, while your team is involved in the situation, involved in the struggle or the challenge or whatever, while they're involved in that, they have to be
Yeah.
aware of the factors, and they have to be able to process it correctly, and not just go with rote superficial things, but to truly understand the right successful application within this situation. And like I say, that's what I described and what I did today. That's just a very small picture of that, but it did sort of highlight that your people have to be able to think well and come up with the right radical solutions, even when you're not there. And if you're not developing your team to be able to do that, you're not getting your job done, as you're just becoming a dictatorial manager and not a true leader. And the other aspect of this too is you don't get them to that place by giving them rote questions and just superficial rote answers, but you get them to process. And what a lot of people don't realize is when you're talking to one of your people, you sort of have to be willing to do this, and you may kind of smile when you see this, but the bottom line is when you ask the question and all you do is go, you know, because you let them process it, you let them come out. And you know what? When they come out with perhaps their situation or their conclusion on it, sometimes when you look at them and say, well, what's the risk of that? What's the success of that? What do we need to be aware of? And you get them, responding and processing those kind of questions. That's where these, dramatic things can happen. And you want to be able to do that with your team. You want to be able to grow them to where they can do that, even when you're not there. And that's what uh, uh, you know a lot of people sometimes don't think about. They just think it's about me telling you what to do. You go do this and just shut up. And
Right.
and what a lot of people do on this is when that doesn't work out right initially,
Mm-hmm.
they'll look at their people and go, "Oh, well, you need to do this different or whatever, kind of
Oh,
thing."
I
And
love it.
and as much as I hate to say it, I've seen one or two, managers in my, not my managers, but just people that I was kind of associated with in some respects at different places and everything. I've seen people do that, but when you do that, you're not being a successful leader. You're being a dysfunctional manager because your people are not developing and becoming to really reach radical success for your team, for your company, for your organization. And those are just some aspects about it. But that's just all I brought out with the situation that I was in. Because you know what? I didn't go to the store to look for a Geek Squad folks or whatever.
No.
Um, um, you know, I said if I have to tomorrow, I'll drive over there. But when I got home, instantly enough, I brought those four uh, JPEGs up, and I just moved them up to the downlock, or the download thing, where they were not on that particular folder anymore. And as soon as I did that, guess what? All those pictures came up that quick.
Really?
And so it, but it, you got to realize that so often into, so often sometimes you see managers that if their people have a question, they just want their people to come to them and ask them a question so they can just give them their answer,
Of course.
and you know what? That's not always the right solution.
Mm-hmm.
And um, now, I will tell you this, that sometimes in wartime, yeah, there's times where the commander needs to come in and point something out. No two ways
Yeah.
about it. But there are times when, yes, that's sort of necessary. But if that's your total function of being a manager and being able to run your team and all that kind of stuff, you're kind of missing the boat because you're not developing your people. If you're doing it well, where their processing is going and they can kind of understand that sort of stuff, that's huge. And a lot of people don't realize that. And a lot of people would have just gone over to the store and said, I got to go over to the store and I got to get these guys to come over and look at it, and all this sort of stuff. And, but with mine in my thinking, all of a sudden it was, you know what? That didn't start happening until about this. And that's about when I brought those pictures over. You know what? From a mental processing thing, I said, you know what? I'll bet you that it went to that first picture, but it didn't know how to get to the rest of it.
Oh.
So it was confused by that. And that's why it said there was an error there. And so what I did is, as soon as I got back home, I said, well, I'm going to try to see this. And you know what? If the problem is still there after I do this, I can go get the Geek Squad tomorrow, kind of thing. But as soon as I brought those 4 images up into a different area up there, for the download thing, and they weren't there for that file,
Mm-hmm.
and all of that started working perfect again. And it's just, but you know what? If I did what a lot of people have a tendency to do in this world, they talk about the problem. Well, there's this problem on the computer, or whatever, or you just have somebody that just sits there and points fingers and says, "Hey, well, just do this or whatever," kind of thing. If that's all you're doing, you're sort of missing the boat. And so it's just a good sort of low level picture, a little bit of true leadership development and true decision making and true leadership aspects for somebody's team. Because a lot of times when something comes up that is sort of similar to that, it can be a lot bigger. And you got to have the right decision at the time, not just somebody telling you what you think is the academic thing, but processing and ability to get the right solution there. And so it's just something to think about. Like I said, I just figured I'd show that to people. They can kind of listen to it if they want, but it was a good picture today. And this is the kind of mental processing in terms of neuroscience and leadership and an executive coach and all of that, that I bring to what I do. And I actually bring a lot of this to, training and certifying jet pilots and stuff and things of that nature. Because guess what? The situations that come up to a airplane sometimes are very unexpected. And can you make the right decision at the right time? And if you go with what some people do, and that is just make their choice, and then when it doesn't work out just perfect, they make all the excuses in the world. That's not what you want. What you want to do is to make the right call or the solution in the situation that you're in. And so I just throw that out. I just thought I'd brought it after seeing that a little bit today. I said, that's just a little bit of a picture, kind of a small picture, but a picture of this aspect of true leadership, true decision making. And is your processing happening such that you can understand what you need to really do, and how you're going to do it?
Mm.
And so it's just something to think about. I figured I'd bring with that just one picture of it, but it's very aligned with all this stuff that we've been sort of talking about a lot with the neuroscience and the decision making, and really developing your team members. So it's not just that they're shutting their brain off and going with what you said. If you're doing that, you're not really making your team successful for the future.
Yeah.
What you want to do is get a lot of the conversations going, a lot of the discussion, and in some cases, you know, you sit there and you say, well, what's the most unexpected factor that's come on? It's going to come on scene for you today. Oh, what? Yeah. What's the one thing you don't don't expect or don't want?
I love it. Oh, what?
And then what are you gonna do when it does happen and stuff? So a lot of times those kind of questions are the ones that can kind of come up there to help stuff. But the bottom line is, as a manager, don't be just simply controlling people and throwing. Now, if you get people that are just being totally dysfunctional and unethical, yeah,
Yeah.
you got to step up. But the bottom line is, find out what you need to do differently to truly develop and really make your people become awesome.
Oh, beautifully said, Randy. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You always have a way. And wow, I'm speechless. Usually I have like questions or I say something like insightful, but no, not today.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I'm happy we stayed connected. I'm glad I didn't
Cool,
lose you.
cool.
And maybe I'm on edge. I'm like, I don't want to lose another guest. No, I'm joking.
Well, I'll tell you
No.
what, sister, as you know, I totally appreciate you, Jill, and I appreciate being on the show with you. And I just appreciate our friendship and our professional aspects and all that kind of stuff. So just totally appreciate you, my friend.
Okay, well, what time do you get up?
Well, just about every day I get up about 5 a.m. because that's what time my alarm goes off, just about every day. That way I get ready, I get things set up, and I get ready for whatever the day is going to be doing.
And what do you nap? And what time do you go to bed?
Well, I don't actually nap, but
Okay.
usually what I do is I'll, lay down, watching TV or something, maybe about 7-ish or something like that. But I usually don't go to sleep and don't really turn the TV off typically till about 9 or 10. And when there are times when I wake up at about 1:30 in the morning and the TV's still on. so I,
Got it.
so I click it off and try to go back to sleep and everything. So,
Oh
but
my
it's
goodness. No, they
but
say the
yeah, that's
early bird catches the worm. There was another news article, I'm all about the news, what I hear. And you've heard it before about how the early bird catches the worm, right? And some of the most successful people out there wake up early and on a schedule. And but I never heard about, but you wake up early, but you also stay up late.
yeah. And I'm usually laying down, but the TV's on, and I don't really go to sleep or even feel like going to sleep till usually about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. But yeah, so
I commend you on your schedule. I used to be an early bird. Then I had kids, and then I realized, oh my gosh, I can't be such an early bird. I'm exhausted from the night before because we're up late. But
yeah, good
there's
point.
something to be said for getting up early, and I miss it. One day I hope to get up again. I get up at 2 a.m. for like 20 years. So that's a little crazy. That's like not normal, right?
I
Yeah.
understand that.
Happy medium. I could do 5. 5 is not bad. But
Yeah,
lately we do like the summer's here, so it's like 7:30.
yeah,
It's a little
yeah,
later, but I don't know. I feel better when I get up earlier and when I go to bed earlier. It's true.
yeah,
I need more
yeah.
sleep.
Cool. I'll tell you what, I appreciate it, and I appreciate you getting the sleep that you need, sister. And I
Thank
tell you
you.
what, I just, uh, as I think you know, I just appreciate you more than you can realize. I just appreciate you, my friend, and
Aw.
glad to be here when we are.
Well, thank you so much, and looking forward to the next time we connect, my darling. One more time, Randy Swaim. You can just Google his name. You'll find him, cultureforrelevance.com, and check out. You can go to Amazon or his website to pick up a copy of the book. Check out the movie. And in closing today, how would you like to leave off, Randy? Say one
Well,
more word of wisdom to us, please.
well, what I'll just do is I'll just share this one thing that Podcast Business News Network has designed, and of course you know about them and everything, but they have set it up where they're looking to come up with a plan that has me fly up to their location and everything, And you got one of the new and big sponsors and stuff that is wanting to record and interview me in person.
Awesome.
And so, we're seeing how that's all working and all that, but looking forward on seeing how that comes together.
Cannot wait to have you and see you in person one day. Randy, thank you so much for being here, for joining us. And till next time, enjoy your week, and I'll get some more sleep because you won't.
Sounds good.
Sounds
good, my
sweetheart.
sister. Well, listen, I appreciate you, my friend. I really do.
Ditto, ditto. Bye-bye, darling.
Hello, I'm Randy Swaim. I'm a Marshall Goldsmith certified executive coach and the founder for Coaching for Relevance. Our vision is to bring freedom to potential in all that is across our path. And one of the things we really want to do, which is aligned with our aviation background, is to help teams and leaders break free of the gravitational forces that are holding them back and their success back, and help them soar to their altitudes. So that's our passion, and that's what we're all about.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Okay, Simon, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. And what do people normally wear?
Clothes.
Exactly. So now Mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Clothes keep us warm, they look good, and if we go out without them, the neighbors will talk. So it's important to know how to get dressed. Here's how it's done. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole, or you have to start all over. If you're wearing a tie, it goes over, round, through, and pull tight. Tuck your shirt into your pants and zip up your fly. Socks going first, then shoes right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops. The rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears.
I love bunnies.
Good to know. Now remember, spots don't go with stripes, socks don't go with sandals, and if you've tucked in your shirt, wear a belt. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives and the Ad Council.